Auntie Peggy, this is so exciting. I've never done this before. I've gone blonde, so you may not recognise your favourite niece, Pippa. I've just got so many happy memories of growing up and visiting Epping and visiting you and Uncle Billy, the tennis parties, the charades that we all used to play, often with hilarious consequences and embarrassment, especially when Daddy got down to his underpants. All our lovely cousins reunions, sorry. I've got a dry throat, Auntie Peggy. All our cousins' reunions, which were absolutely fabulous because we're such a large family and it kept us all in touch with each other. I've always appreciated your love and interest in me and Russell, and especially in my children, Dougal and Airlie. I've always remembered your patience trying to coach me in maths, which actually paid off, and I passed my Year 10 exams. I loved joining you all in the kitchen. You were very capable and catered for the masses, and I loved being included in all the clearing up and washing up and joining in all the chattering. Loved listening to Uncle Billy and Daddy arguing about the rugby union, often getting very heated, but you could see the obvious affection between them. And lastly, Auntie Peggy, was your kindness, love and support when you used to take lunch once a week over to Dad and Mum when he was dying. And it was so appreciated and it gave my father so much pleasure. Auntie Peggy, love you. I do hope we can see you in the next year when all this COVID business is over. And happy birthday. Bye.
Hi, Auntie Peggy. Happy birthday and lots of love on your birthday. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to come down and be with you on your birthday and help you celebrate, but it just depends on the COVID restrictions. I know I can come to Victoria, but I don't want to spend 2 weeks in quarantine when I come back to New South Wales. Just thinking about on the time how important you've been in my life, you and Billy. You were substitute parents for me while I was at school, and it was wonderful. And I used to be able to go out for weekends and you'd come and watch me play cricket, which must have been frightfully boring. And also have lovely memories of all the cousins' days that you had later on when I grown up and had kids. And we all enjoyed those days. And the other thing that I will be forever grateful to you and Billy was for being substitute grandparents for Christina. When she had grandparents' days at school, and you used to come down and spend time with her, and she really appreciated it. And she sends her best wishes for your birthday as well. So lots of love, and have great wishes and best wishes and for your birthday. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.
Happy birthday, Peggy. I wish I could be there. And I'm really looking forward to when I can come down and see you again. So, what's my birthday memory of you? I have so many memories of you that are very, very dear to me. The one I've chosen is one that has continuity and intention and purpose. And what that is the support and belief you've given me as an artist. From the time you decided to publish my poetry when I was a teenager, and the crucial support that you gave me when I came back from England, and you made a gift to me and I was able to go to New York and continue with my dancing credentials. That was amazing. That was amazing that you did that. The thing though that really, really means the most to me is the fact that you understand my Mousy, that you understand it. You get it, and it means something to you. And that particularly the most challenging of those cards that I made, the one that people go, oh, I don't know about that, that's the one you love. The one that says, oh, not my best look. So, Peggy, you get me, and you've turned up for me unasked, and you've given what I do form and help with my direction, and it's just given me so much support. And I'm going to take that with me forever. And I just do. I'll be honest, Peggy. Margaret Seymour Hull, OBE. You are my proud relative, my grand matriarch that I carry around on my shoulder when I go into situations, and I think, I have Margaret Hull, OBE, behind me. And it gives me so much strength and confidence. So there's that too, and believe me, that has made a really, really big difference in terms of my feeling whether I can change things. So, Peggy, you've given me the most wonderful support in such a timely manner, and I just wish I could be there. I just wish I could be there with you right now. So, all my love, a big, big hug. Happy birthday. See you when I'm looking at you.
Hello, Peggy. What fun this is. We're so fond of you, Peggy. We met when we both taught at Tara Church of England Girls Grammar School at Parramatta. You were the librarian, I was the science teacher. I often had a lift to school with you, which gave us plenty of time to talk. You taught me a lot about furniture and house decoration. I still have these precious books that you gave me. I love them. These were all useful things for someone soon to be married. We became good friends and still are. I loved meeting your family, and Andrea has been a lifelong special friend too. Peggy, I admire your intellect, your liveliness, your generous friendship. I owe you a lot. Happy, happy birthday, dearest Peggy. Much love from Penny.
Hi, I'm Ros Marsden. When I was about 30, I finally got up the confidence to call my favourite teacher, Mrs. Hull, by her first name, Peggy. It was such a cheeky thing to do for someone I respected so much as a teacher. I first met Mrs. Hull when I moved from the genteel mansion of Tara Junior School to the senior school campus in Masons Drive, Parramatta. The school seemed so big and I felt so lost. Then I discovered the library and a cheerful, encouraging teacher called Mrs. Hull. She always greeted me enthusiastically and nurtured my love of reading and writing. Even when my English teachers gave me pretty low marks, she still encouraged me to keep trying. I can really count Mrs. Hull as being one of the reasons I took up a career in media and writing. She nurtured an early interest for me, and I went on to keep in touch with her for over 50 years. I love seeing her whenever I can in Melbourne, and I hope she's been okay during COVID. When I think of Mrs. Hull, I think of people like Dame Elizabeth Murdoch and Jane Goodall, women who have always been strong and encouraging. I'd like to think that I can emulate Mrs. Hull as I grow older, because she remains so eager and interested in everyone around her and everything she does. So, Peggy, I wish you a very, very happy 97th birthday. Have a wonderful day.
Hello, Peg, and happy 97th birthday from all of us here in Canberra. Peg, you've been such an inspirational person in my life. You were very, very important to me in my early days at Tara at high school in year 7. I came up from the junior school not knowing really what to do or how to go about it, but you were there as a reassuring presence, making sure that everything went well for me. I had so much kudos from you as a teacher. You were either the maths teacher for many of my or the librarian for all of us. I remember our library lessons when we sprawled on the floor while you read to us from 7 Little Australians by Ethel Turner. You were quite sure that Ethel Turner was related to Dinah Lewis, one of my friends in year 7. But Dinah says to this day she doesn't think she was. Not that it mattered, we loved them.
Peg, I also didn't know what to call you in school, so we settled on Auntie Peg when in private and Mrs. Hull in public. I remember too my 16th birthday, Peggy. You threw me the first party I'd had. They weren't a big deal in our household, unfortunately. I loved it. Loved being the centre of attention. Julian invited 5 friends. I was allowed to have 5 friends. We had the most wonderful party at your place in Epping. You also gave me the most prettiest little silver bluebird necklace, and I still have that necklace, Peg. I'm passing it on to my eldest granddaughter. Peggy, you are just such a mine of information as well about our family and about everything in life in general. I love listening to you. I love absorbing what you've learned and what you pass on. You're an inspiration to me. Up here in Canberra too, Wal says to say hello. He adores his auntie, your family to him as well. And all our girls, Anna and her family in Yass, they all came down for your 90th. Ariel and her little family in Sydney, back from France after an extended period there. And Sophie, our Sophie, still in London. They all send their best wishes and love to you, Peg, for your 97th. And we hope to see you soon.
It is with great pleasure and fondness that I'm able to speak of my dear friend, Peggy Hull. I started working at the Northern District Education Centre around 1980. Peggy was a founding member of the centre and responsible for setting up a very extensive resource library. Schools did not have those sorts of facilities at that time, so the Education Centre became a very real and important resource. Peggy organised in-service courses primarily for teachers involving all sorts of subjects, many subjects. She even had me giving an in-service course at one time. She was an inspiration. My children speak very fondly and remember of her as always smiling with a happy disposition, instilled in me and in them a positive, you can do anything attitude. In later years, when several directors departed, Peggy became director and I became her admin officer. We happily ran a very successful centre for many years, and something of which I am today very proud of. Peggy and Bill, Harold and I celebrated many occasions together, lunches, birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, all sorts of parties. Peggy inspired in me and encouraged me to do the things I would never have thought possible. Peggy, my dear, dear friend, I wish you the very, very best of happy birthdays from Harold and from Lisa, Catherine and Robert, and they send their love and best wishes as well.
Hi Mum, it's Julian calling from Sydney to wish you a very happy birthday. My earliest memory of you Mum was a 3-year-old when Mum saved me from a pond in Orange, New South Wales. I also have fond memories of you living in Cairns, North Queensland, especially when Mum, you took us to Cooktown by ferry. I was born with a profound hearing loss. I remember Mum helped and encouraged me right throughout my life. I was so proud when you got the Order of Australia for your work for people with hearing disabilities. My mum was there for me when my wife passed away. She took my 2 daughters into my home and brought them up with love, security and guidance that only a grandmother can give. She taught them how to be the young women they are today. Mum, I know I've caused you a lot of worries over the years, but I want you to know that I do appreciate all you've done for my daughters and me. So enjoy the birthday. You are always in my thoughts and prayers. You are the best mother a man could ever have. Happy birthday, Mum. Much love from your son, Julian.
So, Granny, Peggy, your memories that I have. So the tradition of our incredible family holidays at Nani Noona, all the way starting back from when I was just a baby and some of my first Christmas there. That infamous photo that's in our lives of me having the confidence to leap from your arms and take my first steps running towards Mum, who was holding the camera. Now I know this isn't actually a memory, but I've heard this story enough times and I've seen the photo, so it feels like a memory to me, and it'll always be one that I cherish very much. So as well, all the other amazing Christmases that we've had at Nani Noona, featuring your incredible cooking, the turkey roll to cut back on cooking time. Then we've got all the amazing roast veg, and the piece de resistance was always, and is still always, the incredible Christmas pudding that you make with a threepence in it, and was always served set alight with the brandy. As a kid growing up, that was always such a highlight, and the joy that would come when that lucky person found that threepence in their piece of the pudding was always so wonderful. So in our family and Nani Noona holidays, it wouldn't be a proper holiday without a casualty going to the emergency department in the local hospital. So Granny, your lovely memory of this was at Christmas, unbeknownst to you, one of the lovely saucepans had lost a screw, and with it being full of boiling water, and you picked up the saucepan and the contents fell all down your legs and covered your legs in boiling water. So we all piled into the car and off we trotted down to the emergency department. But luckily, Christmas wasn't totally ruined that year because Mum stepped up to the plate and finished making all of the delicious Christmas cooking under your very good, watchful eye. Well done, Mum. Well done, Granny. So as well in the kitchen, so many kitchen memories. As well in the kitchen, always making your incredible squashy drink from such a young age. We'd always do it at your house in Epping, where you had all your things that you needed, where we would make gallons and gallons and gallons of it and decant it all into the amazing Schweppes recycled bottles, and then ready for our amazing summer holidays at Nani Noona. And I do remember unfortunately having rations, because I think we would always go through it a bit faster than you anticipated. So the kids would always get rations of the squashy drink. That would really get up my nose, but that's fine. Also, your infamous Anzac biscuits. Couldn't talk about cooking in the kitchen without talking about your Anzac biscuits. Making those with you was always so special, and hearing all the beautiful stories of umpire and you and the wartime, and a time when, you know, Mum hadn't even been thought of and I hadn't even been thought of. Times of how you and umpire first met and the dates that you would go on, and you'd go swimming down at the beach and go body surfing in the waves together. It was always so wonderful. So having myself being brought up in Melbourne and you being in Sydney, it was always such a thrill to come visit. The exciting plane trip, arriving with Mum, the rental car, driving over my bridge, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, of course, and arriving at your incredible house in Epping with the beautiful purple tree that flowered over the driveway, which was such an incredible tree as a kid growing up, and lying on the in the grass in the front garden. That house was my home away from home. And Granny, you hearing our car, I would always step out onto the back steps, big wide open arms reaching out for such a warm, welcoming embrace. An umpire sitting just inside, hearing our car, would turn off the Bold and the Beautiful from the big old TV and go to stand up with a woo woo, look who it is, also welcoming us with the biggest, warmest hugs. I will forever love that home that you made. Oh, so granny. Oh dear. I'm so lucky to have you living so close now though. I just love having you as such a regular figure in mine and Eddie's life. It's like my little girl dreams of my granny being just around the corner have all finally come true. So granny, happiest of birthdays, and just lots and lots of love from me and from Eddie.
Hi, Granny. I just wanted to recall here some moments from when Anthea and I were little that you filled with lots of beauty and happiness. So when Anthea and I were little, we would go to your house and Papa's house on the weekends. And when we were there, you would do thoughtful things like wake up early before everyone else and make breakfast. And you'd make these beautiful breakfasts of, you know, homemade kumquat jam on toast or creamy mushrooms on toast that went down with your helpful words of encouragement. And you'd make beautiful porridge with brown sugar and half-filled plastic cups of orange juice from the tree. And then as the sun rolled on outside, the fragrance of roasted sage and thyme and rosemary would waft through the house and mingle with the smells of the dusty bamboo rollers and boot polish and antique furniture of the sunroom. And then you'd send Anthea and I out to pick mint. And when we'd come back, you would always accept our offerings, even though we probably picked too much or too little. And you were always really gracious about that. Yeah, and so when we came inside, the table would be set and there'd be a bright posy of flowers in the center of the table. And we'd all sit down and Papa would, he would sort of begin our traditional blessing, which was always to herald you and thank you as the best cook in the world. And then we would all chime in afterwards our thank yous, because it was true and you were the best cook in the world and you are the best cook in the world. Yeah, so you've always just been really calm and consistent and bright, and you've made such a beautiful home and a wonderful life. And I just wanted to thank you for being such a beautiful person. And I want to wish you a very happy birthday. So happy 97th, Granny, and lots of love.
Dear Granny, I don't know how to begin to express how truly lucky I feel to have you in my life. Your energy and resilience are matched, I think, only by the unconditional love and care you've extended to your friends and family. For me, I remember how, when I was sick and would stay home from school, you would make me mashed bananas with cream and sugar, and how good that would make me feel. I remember how upset I was when my childhood blanket fell apart and how you spent so much time carefully stitching it back together. I remember how you would make jumpers and skirts for me to wear, and how you would help me sew together my various costumes. I remember how, even when I moved out, you made me puddings and would send them over, and how you made sure to use agar instead of gelatin, even though you'd never cooked with it before. I want to thank you so much for how patient and supportive you've been, both to my sister and myself. You were there for us when few others were. I love you, Granny. Happy 97th birthday.
Hello, Peg. My earliest memory of Peg is Christmas at Epping. This was always a guaranteed environment of family and wonderful good cheer with Bill and Peg at the heart of it. The sound of tennis out the back and the jacaranda tree out the front for climbing. But sadly, my family split meant I lost Peggy for more than 20 years, even though Andrew and my narrative wove in and out through art and, of course, Western Australia. But it was during these years that I received my own copy of The Ark That Binds. My, what a book. I may be biased as a researcher or writer, but I'd even call it a recommended template for anyone doing a similar history. And The Ark established, in my mind at least, Peg was now a true Gaynor matriarch. Her relocation to Melbourne has allowed my life to again be enriched by her presence. And just as important is her regular presence in Violet's life. To see those two having earnest conversations together, interspersed with simultaneous eruptions of laughter, belies the fact that some 8 decades separates them. So onwards, Peg. Violet and I love you very much.
Peg is my second cousin, that is, my father Don Leatham's cousin. My Scottish mother Jess remembered Peg meeting her at the docks in Sydney when she arrived in Australia just after the Second World War as this little bundle of energy who looked about 15 years old. Peg was a married woman by this stage. As my dad was not allowed to travel from Queensland to meet her, Peg immediately took her under her wing and made her feel very welcome. I have only come to know Peg since her retirement, though I don't know whether you could ever say that Peg has retired. Peg is our family historian and has done an amazing amount of research looking into the past of the Martin ancestors, her grandparents and my great-grandparents' family, and has produced a wonderful family history. As I inherited photographs from my grandmother, we enjoyed some collusion whilst she produced this book. Peg has kept in touch with all of the various branches of the family and visited us several times in Toowoomba during her Queensland visits to the family and whilst carrying out her research. Peg is totally interested in everyone and has an amazing memory in that she remembers all of our individual family members and their activities. My grandmother Evelyn, Peg's aunt, had the same wonderful trait, and I have fond memories of sitting down over a cup of tea whilst she chatted to me about my friends and what I had been doing. Peg's energy and memory are amazing, and she is held very dear to our hearts. We are very proud to know her.
Happy birthday, Peggy. This is Sal from Byron Bay. Sal, Karen, Evie and Anda wishing you the happiest birthday ever. And I just want to say how precious a member of my family that you are and a living treasure. I have so many beautiful memories of being with you and Bill on Sundays for lunch at Wingrove Avenue, and Bill racing me around the tennis court afterwards on a full stomach, and the way you and Bill embraced me with so much warmth and enthusiasm when I moved to Sydney at the age of 20, knowing nobody else except yourselves. And I just love the way over time and over 2.5 decades, our connection has grown, and there's so much warmth and delight that we share. I love that I've been able to see a little more of you now that you're in Melbourne and join some of the family gatherings if I'm in town. And I just love the way I feel so special when I meet you. You just have this warm heart and an incredible dynamic brain, and it's always such a privilege and an honour to come and see you, Peg. And I'm so sorry, Evie's at school and Andy's about to sleep. I want all of the family here to wish you the happiest birthday, and it's been just so beautiful to introduce my children to you and for you to get to know all of us a little. It really is my honour to have you in my life, Peggy. I adore you,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Granny. Of course, one of the little-known secrets about Granny, about Peggy, is that she's one of the greatest interrogators of all time, and I know this to be very true. I also know that she's worked for the KGB, for Mossad, for the FBI, and in extreme cases, they bring her in to deal with the really hard people. And I know this from personal experience, because when she meets a prospective son-in-law, it's incredible the questions you get asked. I ended up trying just to keep in telling her anything she wanted to know about anything. She's a woman that I love very dearly, and Andrea and Peggy and others of the Hulls became the family that I never had, and I just love them to bits. And the great memory I have, of course, is the great road trip that Granny and I took a few years ago, with me as an old man driving and Granny making sure I took all the right turns and basically did everything properly according to Granny, which is a great thing. And I do love you, Granny, and I hope you have the most amazing birthday. Good on you. Mwah.
Mum, when I think of you as loving, a curious mix of introversion and extroversion, supremely intelligent, capable, curious about the world, and engaged with the world of politics and current affairs and people's lives you're always interested in. You're a great cook and interior decorator. You're a fantastic creator of doggerel, poetry and writing. You're very family focused. And I think your enduring happy marriage with Dad was a great blessing for you both. And you were such equal partners in every sense of the word. I met you when you were 25, and other speakers have focused on knowing you from your late 30s on. So I thought I'd focus on some of your formative experiences that made you the woman we all know and love. You came from a wonderful line of strong and pioneering women. Your mother, my grandmother, was a trained professional nurse, one of Australia's first. Your paternal grandmother was a journalist and an actress. And your Brisbane grandmother was a noted public speaker and president of the Moreton Club and the YWCA. All of those women that came before you, I think, helped give you a sense that you would always have a professional life. And indeed, it had formed my own sense of possibilities too. I never doubted for a moment that I would go to university or that I'd have a professional life that would be rich and rewarding. I think your formative years on the fruit farm near Leeton were really important to you. It gave you a sense of confidence in the landscapes, and you had a very capable set of parents who made the most of the lot they were given. You had two younger brothers, Brian and Tony, and when you were 11, you moved to Mossman in Sydney, and you went to Mossman Primary School. When we were young, you told the most wonderful stories from your childhood on the farm, but the one I always love is Mr. Tweddle. Mr. Tweddle, who was a teacher that described you as a genius and did wonderfully creative things like get you to garden on the map of, made a garden on New South Wales using the plantings to just define the rivers of New South Wales. You were selected to go to North Sydney Girls High, which was a very prestigious selective girls' school. You did extremely well in the intermediate. You got 7 A's and you were Dux of 4th year, but you were very ill in 5th year and didn't get the leaving pass that you should have got, which would have led to an exhibition to go to the university. And because your father couldn't afford the fees, you needed to go to work. You joined the CSR as the first girl trainee chemist, and you worked in the head office laboratory and in the refinery in Pyrmont. But looking down a test tube was not for you, and the excitement of joining the WAFs became your next challenge. And you worked in the aptitude testing section in Melbourne and then in the education section in Richmond in New South Wales. When the war was nearly over, you taught interior decorating classes to WAFs and Air Force men in preparation for their civilian lives. You met Dad when you were both on leave, and you were married in 1946. Your first great sadness was losing your first baby, my older brother Andrew, and you began writing for K.G. Murray Press, who published Man, Cavalcade, and later Australian House and Garden. You became editor of Cavalcade and then became pregnant with me and resigned. But with 5 pen names, continued writing for House and Garden until we went to Orange and then to Cairns. You ran interior decorating classes at home, and in Cairns you interviewed and broadcasted regularly with the ABC when my brother Julian and I were at school. We were posted back to Sydney in late 1957 and bought a house in Epping with a tennis court. You continued your interior decorating classes, this time via adult education, for 2 nights a week, and you joined the staff of Tara Anglican Girls' School, a new secondary school, and taught social studies and maths and started the school library. In 1975, you left Tara to become librarian and assistant to the director of the new Northern Districts Education Centre, and you retired from there in 1986. You've always described it as the most wonderful decade with which to end your professional life. You were very active in getting the NDEC, as it's called, established, and they were immensely fulfilling and creative years. Once retired, which we all laughed and went, yes, really, you did your family history, which all of your descendants have absolutely valued, The Arc That Binds. And then you did voluntary work for Shush, Self-Help for the Hard of Hearing People. And you received an OAM principally for this, but also because of the life and the contribution that you've had. You moved to Melbourne after Dad died, and it's been just so wonderful having you close to me and for us to really get to know each other again, I suppose me as an adult, because I left home at a relatively young age and have lived interstate or overseas since my early 20s. So it's been just such a lovely thing, Mum, to have you up the road and for us to share theatre and cinema and coffees and meals together and to catch up on lots of, sort of decades of our life story. So happy birthday, Mum. Happy 97th. You've, I think, excelled yourself in reaching 97. I don't think anybody in the Gaynor family or the Martin family has done that. And we love you to bits and are so happy that you're well and that you're near us.
I'm recording this before I've even seen the film, but I do want to say straight away that it's a wonderful and unique gift, and that it will bring back the loveliest memories of times and places associated with each one of you and with me. So I do want to, first of all, thank my family and friends who so very much for contributing, and to Mozhgan, who produced the film, my most appreciative thanks and admiration, and to Andrea, my dear Annie, whose idea it was to mark my 97th birthday in a special way, my very loving thanks. And extra thanks because she stepped in to be the raconteur, because her voice is better. When I sent out Christmas cards last year, I said 2020 goes with such a swing, it's bound to be a good year. It hasn't been, of course, but here in Australia, we've shown remarkable resilience and mostly common sense, doing what's required of us in regard to the virus. So if you too plan on reaching 97, keep that resilience and common sense. Exercise while you can, and as much as you're able, stay curious and interested in people and books and media and in the world around you and at large. That's it.
Happy birthday, Peggy. Happy birthday, Peggy. Happy birthday, dear Peggy. Happy birthday, Peggy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Peggy. Happy birthday to you. I love you, Peggy.